Whicker's World 238, take one.
You did it like a professional.
I like doing that.
Wow.
It's my real ambition. I want to be a clapper girl.
We come to celebrate a legend. Today it's not just the 1144 from Platform 8 at Victoria, but the most famous express in the world, reborn for its centenary, and about to be dispatched upon its first run to Venice by, quite suitably, a flourish of trumpets. All our workaday trains merely take us from Victoria Station to somewhere else. But this elegant ticket buys a fairy tale, the chance to live out a fantasy. Most of us relish a bit of razzmatazz. And there have always been travellers willing to pay for extra comfort and convenience, let alone nostalgia. So more than 11,000 people instantly queued for £250 tickets for a journey across 3 frontiers. And today's £500 inaugural attracts the crowds and a flock of interviewers thrusting their microphones at absolutely anybody.
Well, I'm going to be asking them the questions you're asking me, really. So I'm going to make a note of what you ask, and then I'll ask them.
Oh, that's cheesy.
No, of course, I'm looking forward to the whole thing. It's going to be a marvellous trip, isn't it?
Do you get good value for money?
Well, it's an experience, isn't it? I don't quite know how you quantify it, really. I mean, it's first-class airfare down there, isn't it? But it is a sort of experience.
Rescued from those sad grey yards where famous trains go to die, the Orient Express returns for its big day, gleaming as never before. The waiting cast of our thrillers also elegant and dressed for the 20s. Lady Kilmarnock is dressed for the Orient. Sort of.
How are you? I'm lovely to see you.
We're going to cause a riot here, actually.
Well, if you say that, I hope I will.
A few delicate explosions make up that riot. However, there is a haunting anxiety that terrorists, or those ill-disposed towards such bravado, such a pageant of nostalgia, may attempt to hijack the whole train. So I was relieved to find our magic carpet had some support from above.
It's curious how trains seem to have an affinity for gentlemen with class.
Exactly. Very true. And naturally, I'm going to bless the train and all the passengers.
Really?
May they arrive safely to the journey's end. May the train always prosper, because it's something good.
In the absence of any other security, I was quite ready to be reassured.
Red carpet is coming down.
We are. But it's something where great hopes, and it's a venture of faith, putting all this £11 million into it.
Paging Miss Agatha Christie.
The Orient Express, always privately owned, has now been given a multi-million-pound kiss of life. At a Sotheby's auction in Monte Carlo 5 years ago, a millionaire from Kentucky bought 2 wagons-lits and, encouraged, went on to collect another 36 Pullmans and sleeping cars of the 20s and 30s. They've been rebuilt, and today, better and safer and grander than ever, the Orient Express flaunts its old aura of serenity and splendor. Its American owner, James Sherwood, is not a train buff. Indeed, confesses he's never even wanted to be an engine driver. He recently made another takeover bid and married an English widow, Dr. Shirley Cross.
Yes, 11:30.
On the way in, the chairman of British Rail, whose passenger of honour attends to industrial relations.
I'll carry the flag.
But Sir Peter Parker carried it only as far as his southern boundary, though in unaccustomed luxury. The cast of this mobile theatre has always been the target of considerable attention.
Don't run away, madam. There's a lot of
I can't run away. Hang on, Orient, for love.
The original first night of the Orient Express was a century ago in 1883, when only gypsies or generals ventured to cross the kingdoms of Europe. Later, it carried those fun-loving kings, Edward VII and Leopold II, then the Tsar of Russia, Matahari, Gulbenkian, Zaharov, and countless prima donnas. King Boris of Bulgaria drove the train, a French president fell off it, and on her honeymoon, a Spanish duchess was rescued from her mad bridegroom by an armaments king. A Balkan archbishop, His Reverence Cyril, often travelled between Sofia and Belgrade to relish, during a secluded 90 minutes, those exotic birds of passage known as the horizontal nomads. Books and films showed beautiful spies seducing king's messengers, ladies vanishing, James Bond struggling, and courtesans giving in, while murdered millionaires lay upon silken sheets. So, despite this splendid send-off, we have a lot to live up to. The Express went into a decline in the 30s when air travel became reliable and grew so shamefully shabby no Agatha Christie villain would have been seen dead on it. Yet legend is stronger than reality, so it still suggests mystery, adventure, intrigue. To board the train is to become one of the actors, and today a new cast assembles for this fantasy island on wheels, each prepared for one first night to become potentate or princess or Poirot. Some of us are already typecast. We have a duchess, an earl, an arms king, a film star, and of course any number of tycoons.
Well, it's been a grand effort. It cost £11 million to restore the Pullman train and the Orient Express train, and I hope you will agree we've had a grand result. I now declare the Venice, Simplon, Orient Express resumed.
So we're braced for romance and adventure, and indeed half expecting a murder on the Orient Express. Progress means that even this magnificent train's now pulled by a diesel, which can't quite live up to its carriages. But we can all hear the echo of that once upon a time whistle. Our locomotive may be today, but the Pullmans are yesterday. A century ago, when passengers progressed to Constantinople in 3.5 days, the Orient Express was the first grand hotel on wheels. Today, in 25 hours and some style, we're going halfway to an even lovelier city. As you are always strapped for cash, is it galling to find a train like this charging enormous fares and having to turn people away?
Well, I don't want to keep looking at the abrasive side of it, in a way. It's true that we can see big business happening here, but frankly, this is a continental business. We haven't yet got to Channel Town. What part of the business we can share of this good business, we are sharing. Here's a train that seems to me to symbolize so many of the things that people love about the trains. I mean, it's elegant and it's associated with fun. Trains are symbols of so many things, aren't they? Here it is today, a symbol of pleasure, high style, a symbol of sheer delight. And people love to see that bit of the trains. I love to see that bit of the train. Railways have been a risk business for 150 years. I keep saying that my job, Jim, is it's not a matter of being in a goldfish bowl, it's being in a piranha bowl. You're never at ease. Never somebody not coming for you, you know.
Folkestone Harbour's the end of the line for the Pullmans, and before leaving we're offered a final delicacy. Not an after-lunch sweetmeat, but an anti-seasick pill. A reminder that even Oriental travellers must face a temperamental channel. Aboard an admirably well-balanced ferry, the veranda deck saloon exudes suitable sounds. On board, the couple who booked the very day the resurrection was announced. Are you a rail buff?
No,
Not at all?
No. It was just that I wanted to go on the Orient Express in full panoply, style, champagne, everything. The English have a habit of being, you know, looking back in history, and one just purely wanted to live with tradition, basically. And it's lived up to all expectations up to now.
It's strange that it should be an American who would do it also, really.
Yes, but he's an anglicised American. You've only got to look at him. You know where his heart lies, don't you?
Our taxi driver on the way to the train was convinced that he had already seen the first person who was going to be in the Agatha Christie novel version of this whole trip. He said, you have to suspect everybody, even the porters. And this is a taxi driver. So he thought it was quite romantic himself. He really did.
Have you picked out the body here yet?
We've got some ideas.
We're all busy allocating roles in this thriller in which we're appearing. A jolly group of merry widows and divorcees from Palm Beach has already decided who is going to be who.
We know there's going to be a marriage, and it's going to be Nadine's. That's why we came. She's going to be a flower girl, and I'm going to be a flower girl or maid of honor. And we know that there's going to be a wedding on this.
I can hear muffled laughter behind closed doors, can't you?
Absolutely.
You know?
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
Are you ready for that?
Oh, she is. He's got the ring. She doesn't know it, but I saw the ring. It's sapphire and diamond.
I'm going down and talk to Agatha Christie right now, and you have had it.
No. It's going to be a wedding for sure.
Sounds lovely, but it sounds like
It's
a
gonna be
wedding party.
A wedding
really.
for sure.
It'll be all
A
four.
wedding, a murder, and a maternity.
You've had three already.
I went through a few.
But you know, one of her marriage. Tell him about one of your marriages.
Yes, tell me about
The one that lasted for 6 hours only.
Well, I was married to one of the DuPont
The
heirs,
DuPont
but
for
that
6
didn't last.
hours.
6 hours.
Yes.
Why?
I had to leave a boat just like this and row to shore.
Principal.
But,
Really? What
it
did
was
he
very
suggest
nice.
that
He
you
went
didn't
on
like?
to become the governor of one of our great states.
What
So I
did he
think that-
suggest that wasn't acceptable?
Let's not get into that. There was nothing he suggested that was not acceptable. It was what he didn't suggest that was not acceptable.
Yes, I can understand that. Are you
Lady-
looking for a husband as well?
Oh no, I haven't got time.
Oh.
Oh no, I've got.
Well, you've got 20 hours. You know?
No, I've got 12 polo players, and I've got 100 horses, and that takes quite a bit of my time. There's Larry. There's the future groom. Don't tell him. There he is. There's the future groom. Get on your knees here for a moment. I want to talk to you. Larry, say you will if you did.
Do not forgive her for what she
No,
has
Larry,
done to us.
say you will if you did, or you're going to.
You've been compromised, you know that.
Do I say that?
Would you if it were possible?
Only in the daylight. Just
Yes.
say
Are you going to accept her proposal?
Oh,
That's the thing.
Larry, I had nothing to do with it.
He's a gentleman.
You know what we are,
Yeah,
best?
I think we've swung it for you, actually.
think you did it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm so thrilled that we should have brought you two together, actually. It's wonderful that...
Now, could you
yeah.
imagine by the time they get to Windsor?
Is there a
after the
captain
Orient
on
Express?
board?
He is.
Thanks.
And get that done.
I don't think an engine driver can do it, actually.
So at least the romantic roles have been sorted out. At Boulogne station, the mood's deepened by a Tsigana serenade. This never seems to happen at St. Pancras. Our stylish, frivolous expedition must pass through Milan, headquarters of the Red Brigade. So now security becomes visible. For this would be quite a trainload to kidnap. Armed guards patrol, and restless men with bulging armpits and walkie-talkies are in turn observed by almost fictional characters. Those Brighton Bell Pullmans had been fun, but this is the real thing. Into Paris, passengers change for dinner. And for once, a knock on the compartment door doesn't mean facing a grumpy ticket collector. The Orient Express offers champagne, its own label, of course, and I suddenly realized what had been missing from travel all my life. I was recapturing the golden age of the train. Though Sea Containers, Sherwood's company, is worth around £500 million, this venture still seemed to me a considerable financial risk. But in the cramped elegance of one of his sleepers, he saw it as the well-spent $11 million.
If we can achieve a 70% occupancy rate, which we think we can, we'll get our investment back in 3 to 4 years' time, and that's a very fast rate of return.
That's extraordinary, if that's true.
People who travel on it will tell their friends that they've had this wonderful experience. You must go on the Orient Express. It'll be the cocktail gossip in every capital of the world, and when that happens, we're assured of a continuing success.
To make sure everyone realizes Orient Express is not a credit card, Mrs. Sherwood has researched its relevant history.
Now, this coach was part of the old Orient Express. And during the war, it was, most of the wagon-lit rolling stock was put in sort of cold storage. And this, in fact, was put into Limoges. And in Limoges, it was used as a brothel. And then 1 year later, in 1946-7, it became part of the Royal Dutch train.
So it's the other extreme.
Rather a contrast.
Is this going to become an occasion for women, like going on a cruise? I mean, it's a dressy thing.
Well, I think it could. I think people can do what they want. But sometimes people do like to dress up for a special occasion. You don't really need to dress up very much. You need perhaps a straw hat and maybe a 1920s cigarette holder and a little ribbon round your hair and a feather, and you're almost 1920s. My dress is, in fact, earlier period, but is Fortuny fabric.
After sunset, the main act of the whole pantomime. Dinner, prepared by a famous chef, when all our characters appear on a stage softly lit by Lalique. Top of the bill tonight, Princess Ezra Jar of Hyderabad, followed by an Earl from Monte Carlo with companion. A young Duchess from Westminster without her Duke. An industrialist from New York with latest wife, suitably adorned. In the supporting cast, there's a man who sells arms, a shipping magnate, a footballer, a detective. No one's yet confessed to being a spy, but not even Graham Greene or Agatha Christie or Hitchcock could ask for more. Every carriage has had £300,000 lavished upon it, so demands some dressing up if you're not going to be upstaged by the decor. A century ago, the 10-course dinner on this train occupied 3 hours. We now have fewer courses, but they take longer to serve. Our film star is predictably late, by which time the meal's gone on for so long, some of us have nodded off. We thought for one terrible moment we'd spotted the victim. Among the suspects, gossip columnist Nigel Dempster recording our every peccadillo.
It's a wonderful idea because it's the first time in life a journalist can actually enjoy what he's doing, because back in London, when we write our columns, you're actually not enjoying it because you're on the telephone, you're getting things from the telephone, and you're ringing up people and you're substantiating them and then writing them on a typewriter. Here you can actually live the life. And what's more, and this is the best thing, your subjects are trapped. They can't get off.
They can't escape.
Exactly. So there you pin them down.
What's the position of a train like this going to be? It's going to be a success, isn't it? It would seem to me.
I'd have thought that in this day and age when people no longer need to go somewhere very fast, and also they spend, say, £500 going for an awfully bad holiday in Spain, why not spend half that sum having the journey of your life? It only takes 2 days and 1 night, but at least it's something which you'll remember, and it won't be one of those poison tours which one tends to get.
Go in style with a chance of meeting a princess.
This is exactly right. What more can you want?
What more can you want?
And this is the perfect place to get a confidence. And late at night, because you're drinking all through the night, there's a man here who plays the piano until you stop him playing or kill him.
Good night. Do you realise it's 25 to 3?
I know, I couldn't care less.
You're still up, but 25 to 3.
I couldn't care less.
I believe there's going to be a murder this evening.
Yes, have we decided on a body yet?
I didn't mind, I'll offer myself.
Well, no, these priceless pearls of yours.
Oh, I know they're took me a long time to collect them. They're all perfectly matched.
Having done it once, would you want to do this twice? Would you want to do it again?
I'd do anything twice if I was asked.
During the night, the Orient Express has stopped briefly in Switzerland at Lausanne to take aboard newspapers and croissants. International trains have the infuriating habit of passing their most beautiful scenery after dark, and we've done just that. Though after their piano bar bacchanalia, most passengers would have missed the Alps and lakes anyway. Only as we approach Italy, where it's scenic enough, do the first unsteady figures appear. Italian customs and police come aboard, but their vetting is painless. Few passengers are aware they've been checked at 3 frontiers. Italian railways have taken over from the Swiss, and we're heading for Lago Maggiore. Those who can face a serious breakfast emerge feeling fragile. A feast for the eyes is awaiting, at least. But there's also a breakfast to suit every appetite.
breakfast.
That's right, yes. Just reading the brochure, it was kind of hard to believe the train was actually going to look as good as it did in the pictures.
Yes.
But it really does. This trip particularly was like a big fancy dress party, really. I mean, everyone trying to look 20s, and then last night everyone dressing up in black tie for dinner on a train.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so inherently silly that it was fun. And the food was good, too.
The food was quite extraordinarily good.
Very, very good.
I mean, it took a long time.
Unbelievably slow, but extremely good.
How long did your meal take?
I don't know, about 3.5 hours, I think. And I think they had some problems with the gas in the kitchen or something, but no one knew quite what was happening, except that between every course there was an hour of waiting and wondering.
One of the kitchens went up in a sheet of flame.
I think so, yeah. There was a lot of smoke floating through at one time. No one knew quite what was going on. As a result, of course.
Good morning. Good morning. How did you sleep?
I don't remember.
Did I enjoy myself last night?
I'm getting word about it right now.
You enjoyed yourself.
I did,
I
yes,
saw you doing the Charleston.
Oh, of course. Just my ear.
Have you found your shoes?
Yes, I have now.
But the champagne is coming in.
Champagne has never stopped, right? From the moment we got on the platform in Victoria.
Well sustained and still unhijacked, we pull out of Milan's vast station on our last leg to Venice with 166 miles to go. On board, an agreeable pattern of life has been established. As we roll across Italy, one of our tycoons emerges from the corridors of power. George Barry, head of the Fabergé cosmetic empire.
So, it's almost over, this trip. What do we think about it?
Well, after not sleeping all night, the thing I'm thinking of the most, I wish I could go to sleep.
You fell from a very great height, from your top bunk, I see, from your gashed leg.
Yeah.
Well, how did that happen?
I don't know. I dozed for a while and then decided I'd go to the sink there and forgot that there was a long step below.
Yeah.
It's quite a scrape.
Yes, please.
Oh, yes, thank you. Just to have a cup for me. White.
So, George, you're not going to buy the train, is that right?
No, I don't think so. We'll wait for the auction.
The best part of the journey, I would say would have had to been dining yesterday on the other train. That had to have been the best.
On the British train?
Yeah, on the British train.
Yeah, I'm pleased to hear that. Why was that best?
I like brown over blue anyway. The colors of the train.
Yeah.
And I just...
Brown and green, the livery.
Yeah. I just prefer that train over this train. I like the cabins. They could be a little bit bigger, but I like the cabins.
And would you do it again if they said, right, you can come next week, would you?
Yes.
Would you?
Maybe not next week. But I would do it again.
And so, it seems, would Liza Minelli.
Yes, I love trains.
Oh, why? Now, why?
Well, I suppose because when we were young, in America, we always took trains when we traveled, and we traveled a great deal.
This is about being born in a trunk, as it were, is it?
Well, I think I was born on an old boxcar somewhere, you know, I really do. But it's so pretty that you can't really quarrel with it until you go and try and get dressed or something. This isn't exactly the budget way to travel. So you make up for it in other ways. You save money here, you save money there, you try and get through. It's very hard to just say to people, show business is not glamorous. Like, because this is glamorous.
Yeah.
But basically, show business is not. It's getting on a plane, getting into a car, going to a hotel, not seeing the city, going to the theater, working your behind off, going back to the hotel, getting on a plane and going and doing it again, and having to be top level every time.
Yeah.
And my goodness, you're so lucky to be doing what you want to do and have fun at it.
Yes.
You know, you should never, ever forget how lucky you are. That's like spitting in God's eye.
We had a sort of engagement, you know. We had a couple of Americans from Palm Beach.
Yes?
Who got engaged in front of 18 million people. No.
Far out.
A little bit. So that was romantic. Then George Barry stepped off the top bunk and dropped like a stone and bled all over the place.
Oh, no,
so
I'm sorry. Excuse me.
So we had two things, and but we haven't...
Oh, this is one.
This is it.
This is it. Oh, we're all right. Are you all right?
I never laid a hand on there, Your Honor. But for some, despite all the fun and the games, 25 hours on a train, even such a train, on such a journey, can prove soporific. Through the Po Valley, the fete continues, though more sedately. Mestre, and then the lagoon of Venice. At the end of 920 crowded miles, Santa Lucia Station, yellow roses, and a welcoming chorus from, needless to say, gondolieri. Our cast dispersed to hotels to bathe, while their stage also gets a wash and brush up before its return journey. This train must always gleam. And observing the buffing up, an old Orient Express hand who's been a wagon-lit conductor for 22 years.
Oh, you have to love traveling.
Yes.
You have to know several languages.
Yes.
And you have to love serving people.
The Orient Express in the old days, was it as glamorous and as mysterious and as exciting as we read in the books, as we see on the films?
Sometimes yes, sometimes not. For instance, the ladies, old ladies, gone alone. So they said, well, would you come to my cabin at night? Let's have a little chat.
Yeah. It's almost better than a tip, I suppose.
And there happens to be a gentleman alone. But they say, would you be so kind and have a look if you can find a girl for me? I will pay the sleeping car for her. Tell her, for instance, you find a girl which is sitting in second class. During the whole night to sit for a nice girl to sit at the second class.
Very uncomfortable.
Let's have her here. Try to get her and try to say a gentleman would like to offer you a good night trip. And then we'll see what you bring me whiskey or a bottle of champagne. And then we'll find out if it works all right.
So that's one of the things that made a good conductor, was it?
Yes, sure, that's a service.
It's a
service of customers.
It's a service, that's certain.
So the new Orientals have arrived to find Venice almost sinking under the weight of mass tourists. On the way to the hotel, we observe even gondolas now travel in fleets. But out of hours, the sea city remains the world's most beautiful destination.
Now, you paid £1,000 for this trip on the Orient Express, and every time I passed your compartment, you were asleep. I don't think you got your money's worth.
Well, we did in many, many respects. You're right.
We couldn't stop sleeping.
Yeah, but you were sleeping with the cabin door open.
Oh, we should have shut it,
know,
shouldn't we? We didn't mean to drop off, that's why.
We brought down the... Did I bring down the sort of the whole tone of the train?
I was very envious. I kept going by and saying it's all right for some, you know? And I was racing backwards and forwards in that little corridor there.
Yeah.
I did expecting to run into Albert Finney every minute.
I did have cashmere socks on. I don't know if you noticed. So.
I thought everybody was marvelously well behaved. I thought Liza Minelli was extremely professional and charming. And I had the best time, the best house party I've ever been to.
Yes, yes.
Very much afraid I have champagne poisoning. Mr. Sherwood was so kind with us. Do you know they never stopped pouring it? We all changed 3 times. At least we got on in a traveling thing, and then I changed for tea, and we all changed for dinner. Didn't we look nice? I nearly died when I saw what some of the ladies wore, because one trembled but of course the security was very good, wasn't it? Yes, one did bring jewelry, because somehow you don't really want to bring taste. It's not that it wouldn't look as good. It's purely a matter like women wear good lingerie, not to be seen. It's the feeling that it gives you.
You might be knocked down by a train.
Well, not really. It doesn't matter what people will see. It's what you feel. I asked Billy whether I should bring my own sheets, because I have that pleasure of traveling with my own things, especially on a train. And he said, certainly not, my dear. We have very proper sheets, said Billy Hamilton. Well, right, sir. Didn't bring my own sheets. No, but did you see that American lady, Mrs. I never know whether to pronounce it Beam or Byrne.
Yes.
We know her more or less from Palm Beach. You know, she has a polo team.
Two polo teams, yes.
My word.
Well, you feel such a fool if you only have one.
Well, I mean, really, that's a surfeit of things. But we have a house in Palm Beach, and we see a lot of her. She was literally studded with large emeralds and diamonds, you know.
Yeah.
Oh, there you are.
It made you feel underdressed, did you?
Not really. They were just a trifle too large for a little girl like me.
With all these millionaires and millionairesses that you write about and all these rocks on the train, what was the security situation? I saw one or two people with walkie-talkies, but were there stronger guards that I didn't see?
Well, the ones with walkie-talkies obviously were employed by Sherwood, and one assumed that one was safe, and they were the ones who looked shattered and haggard the next morning, because they literally must have walked up and down that train every 30 seconds. But there was one very beefy guy who I thought I'd got a scoop for my column, because he appeared to be with a married duchess, and indeed he was, because he was with the 23-year-old Duchess of Westminster, whose husband is worth, well, £1 billion, give or take a few bob. And he, in fact, is an ex-AS officer and employed as her bodyguard. Whether he's got a shooter with him, I don't know. In fact, it doesn't really matter if he does, but he looked chunky enough. If anyone went towards her, you noticed that his eyes were darting. He obviously felt safe on the train. And if I was the Duke of Westminster and I couldn't go with my wife to Italy, and you obviously only need one newspaper to write up that the Duchess of Westminster, whose husband owns most of Mayfair and Belgravia, is in Italy.
Which you're doing, of course.
Indeed, which I did do. And even the Red Army faction, I understand, can read English. And a wonderful way of filling up their coffers. I can quite see why people don't rob banks anymore. It's far too difficult. Because I haven't seen a police boat here yet. It'd be a perfect place to make a heist.
Perhaps they're gondolas in disguise. Queue gondolas, plainclothes gondolas.
I thought the bulges the gondoliers had was something else altogether.
Now, you must have been rather worried about hijacking and kidnapping and that sort of thing, were you not? Now it's all over, you can talk about it.
Well, I can assure you that we've commissioned a number of security studies, and you probably saw a few of the heavies walking around the train, and we've got very elaborate security precautions in Italy, particularly.
I thought your passengers did you proud, actually, didn't you? I thought they lived up beautifully.
Oh, people got into their costumes and they really enjoyed themselves. I mean, really enjoyed themselves.
Yes.
They're a very happy lot of people. It was like a 24-hour party.
It will be interesting to see on the regular trips when, of course, it isn't an all-in fare. I mean, on this trip, we, of course, provided all of the champagne and the food included in the price. But on a normal trip, the passengers will pay for their evening meal, and I don't know whether that will detract from the spirit of things or not.
Well, they'll have to pay for the champagne.
They'll have to pay certainly for the champagne.
That's more likely.
I heard that they consumed 300 bottles of champagne on the trip down, which is pretty good for 180 people.
Yes.
But darling, let's put it another way. We consumed 300 bottles of champagne on the way down.
I feel this train, it's like if you have a Rolls Royce.
Yeah.
People who are used to have a Rolls Royce, they will find this train equal in comfort, in a thing. And people who have only a Volkswagen, they would like to try once again to be in a Rolls Royce. It's a Rolls Royce of the train. They are sure to be, as I said, enchanté.
Now, this is the Rolls Royce, and there's the Volkswagen going out.
That's the Volkswagen, yeah. You can compare with this. Impossible.
In the early evening, restored and resplendent, the Express sets off across Europe again, heading north with another cast, making its own elegant contribution to a lost art, the art of travel. For whatever it's usually like today, travelling is certainly not murder on the Orient Express.